How are you, my good friend?
I'm good.
Welcome to Nairobi, welcome to Kenya.
Always good to
Thank you very much.
You know my representative
Yes.
here,
How are you, Caroline?
Who is our new regional director. You know, we have our office here.
Okay, very good. Mamadou, how are you? Very good. Celebrating the day.
Thank you very much for that. You know what you told me last time? Yes, the president.
Yes.
Yes. First of all, let me tell you, I'm here. I said I want to come and celebrate World Refugee Day.
Oh.
Yes, and the governor, members of parliament.
Support of the county governments, led by Governor Jeremiah and Governor Natif of Garissa, for their support of hosting refugees for the last 30 years. We really thank Turkana County and Garissa County. They have done a commendable job. I wish also to highlight the fact that the Kenya government is committed to issues of refugees, and a clear testimony is the Refugee Act of 2021, which has provided for registration of refugees. And as we may all be aware, last year, the government started registration of refugees in Dadaab, and that continues. I also want to commend the private sector, who are the new entrants to this space. We thank you for the support we have already seen. We have seen support from Equity Bank, who are supporting education of refugees, and we welcome the private sector to join in the support of refugees. We think that the current model of depending only on governments is not sustainable. That is why we're opening it up to the private sector to support these initiatives. I also want to appreciate the ongoing projects, including KISIDEP, the Kalo Beye Integrated Social Economic Development Project, GSTEP in Garissa. These are some of the cases which actually demonstrate the commitment of the government and UNHCR to ensure that refugees are being taken care of. We also look forward to upgrading of both Kakuma and Dadaab to municipalities through the window for host communities and refugees. And I think that is a very, very important direction.
Despite this very difficult situation, I have hope. I visited Dadaab refugee camp a few weeks ago. For perspective, this is a large community and now totals almost 370,000 refugees, the size of the city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And when I was in Dadaab, I met extraordinary people, refugees, humanitarians, school teachers, doctors, nurses, mothers and fathers, to name a few. I also saw how the refugee system in Kenya is undergoing historic change. The importance of the Kenyan government and its steadfast generosity for the region and the broader African continent cannot be overstated. There are citizens from some 20 countries who are now in Kenya under the protection of the government. Kenya at times has been home to the largest refugee camp in the world, and someone, somewhere, is coming to Kenya today seeking safety and relief from persecution or hunger. The old encampment model is being replaced by a transition to integrated settlements led by the government's initiative. This is a government intent on advancing asylum policies that bring us all into the future of better integration of refugees and host communities. This new initiative will compel us as donors to evaluate our programs and ensure we also support area-based, development-oriented approaches. And by the way, I very much like the plan's new name, Shakira Plan. I think it's better than the Marshall Plan. This approach will create environments where crucial public and commercial services are available without obstacle, where private sector companies can see the market value of extending their operations and creating jobs, and where the Kenyan local and national government, together with the international community of donors and UN agencies, collaborate to promote the resilience and prosperity and self-reliance of all.
Every year, I mark World Refugee Day. This is my 8th as High Commissioner. in a place which carries particular significance. I am honored to do so in Kenya this year, a country that has been generous to refugees for decades. All this is very necessary as we live in a troubled world. Political divisions, a climate emergency that punishes those who have done the least to cause it, economic turmoil that exacerbates the suffering of the most vulnerable, raging and unrelenting violence, most recently exemplified by the brutal conflict which is tearing Sudan apart and threatens not just that country, but the whole region and beyond. The combined consequences are grave, including for the more than 110 million people around the world who, according to our latest statistics, have been driven from their homes by conflict, violence, discrimination, and persecution. Amongst them are some 35 million refugees who have fled across borders, forced from their homes, family, friends, and the familiar. They rely on the protection, the hospitality, and the support of host countries to be safe, to survive, and to restart their lives.
I was honored also to have joined yesterday's celebration in Kolabiye, Kakuma, which UN Habitat co-hosted with the government of Kenya and UNHCR for the first time in the long history of refugees being generously hosted there. It was indeed interesting for me to see the changes on the ground that took place since my first visit to Kakuma and Kolabiye in 2018. I was there in April 2018, and UN Habitat started working in the areas since 2016 and have developed the master plan for the new settlement. I remember briefing the communities and also the leaders in 2018 at the UNHCR office on the master plan of the new settlement, which was meant to change the model of refugees from restrictive to incentive in Kenya and beyond. We have since signed MOU with the county of Turkana in 2022 and have been supporting the process of conferring the Kakuma municipality, which is the first municipality comprising of both locals and refugee populations in Kenya. I am also pleased to note that the county of Garissa has now embarked on the same process, and we commit that UN Habitat will be ready to support the establishment of Dadaab municipality. Thank you to all the governors,